Hello all, Pit Bike Mike. And today, we are almost about a year of ownership on this bike. So I wanted to do a 1-year review, 3,200 miles I've put on it. I want to talk about a little bit of what I like, what I don't like, and I guess the issues that I've had with the bike, which have been very few. So, we'll start off with the issues that I've had on the bike. I'll put up a photo on the screen for you to look at. But, we all knew it was going to happen when I put on this aftermarket exhaust. That I was going to eventually burn off a turn signal. Which, it took about 6 or 7 months, but it finally happened. So, if you haven't already seen, I have a TST Industries tail tidy kit that I have installed on the bike. It's actually pretty cool. It's integrated turn signal, all that good stuff. Definitely check out the install video. You know, it's a cool piece of equipment. But that's really all I've had issue-wise, is, melting a turn signal. So, what we will talk about also is some of the things that I haven't been a big fan of on this bike. First being, which I haven't really mentioned this before in any of my other videos, so this is a first new hot take. I have kind of gotten annoyed with having too small of a gas tank. It's like a 2 and some gallon gas tank. I think it's, let's just say 2 for ease of argument. Pretty much every 90 miles I'm at the gas station because the low fuel lights are on. Like, yes, I know I could push it just a little bit further, but it gives you that range anxiety. But either way, that, I'll admit, is one of my biggest pet peeves with this bike. Especially after I've gotten that Royal Enfield, which had like a 3.5 gallon gas tank. I can do like 150 plus miles before even thinking about going to a gas station. I guess pluses and minuses, right? Another one that I've had an issue with, but for some reason I have been so lazy about getting handled, is the mirrors. Which, I had a comment mention that, oh, why are you going to change the mirrors, da-da-da. Yes. Eventually I will. I've just been lazy, unfortunately. I don't know what I'm going to do yet for these mirrors, but they definitely kind of suck. Because for the most part, you're just staring at your shoulders most of the time while riding. So, I'll figure that out. Things that I've changed on the bike since I've gotten it. Obviously, new exhaust, which highly recommend this Norifume exhaust. It's pretty solid. Also, as a lot of my other viewers are known, that I've talked about, the terrible tire sizing that this bike comes with. Switching to the 140/70 in the rear and a 120 in the front makes a huge difference. It really does. Getting better tire options and all that other good stuff. But, besides that, knock on wood, which I'm not going to walk over to a tree to knock on it, but either way, have yet to have mechanical issues with this bike, which is phenomenal. Which, I guess, if you're having mechanical issues at, 3,000 miles KTM, that would kind of show that it's kind of a junk bike, but obviously not with this. But either way, let me get on the road and we'll do some more talking about kind of what I like and don't like so far with this bike. Alrighty, now that we're on the road, where was I? So obviously I changed the tires, and also I wanted to do a change of venue of actually riding, because I know this is a little off topic, but I was watching other YouTube videos, and I've noticed that, like, when I just watch, like, somebody just standing and talking about a bike instead of getting on and riding and, just doing it, I kind of find it boring. So, obviously I had to do a little bit of talking so I could kind of just point out a couple of things, which, either way, but I digress. Continuing on. So, how I talked about me changing the tires to a 140 rear or 120 front. It made a good difference because obviously giving better tire options makes a huge difference, because like on the OEM 110 front, 120 rear, 120 rear, there is so limited tire options. Like, yes, there may be others overseas, but here in the States, it's not a good tire size. Like, we were just stuck with that IRC tire, which, you know, leaves a lot to be desired. But, so, that was terrible. That bump was brutal. Alright, so, going on. So I went to the Bridgestone Battle Axe S22s on this bike, and I gotta say, they are phenomenal tires. I actually will tell you all something, because this is something that I didn't ever expect to happen. And so I don't know if this will affect bikes with OEM exhaust. I could have showed you this while I was off the bike, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. So when it's just you on the bike, you know, one-up rider, it's not that bad, you know, no issues to speak of. But I noticed when I was riding 2-up on this bike with the new tire size, the suspension squatted enough to where the tire actually rubbed the muffler and left a little bit of molten rubber, which I was like, oh man, that's really quite unfortunate. So I've tightened up the preload to this maximum setting on this bike, and still rides good. I haven't tried riding 2-up to verify that it made a difference, but that's definitely going to be something you're going to want to keep an eye on if you're riding 2-up on this bike and you have the bigger tire size, that you may run into that issue. You know, it's quite unfortunate that it happened. I didn't expect it to happen, but you know, it is life. Alright, so continuing on with our discussion about likes, dislikes, all that good stuff. So as you can see, I'm at 74.8 miles on my trip since a full tank, and I am pretty much at my last bar before my low fuel light will flash. That's where I come to the gripe of, you know, like, oh man, I only get so far out of this tank, even though, yes, I'm getting like 70 something miles to the gallon. Either way, it still limits you. Because when I've been doing some stuff recently where I've gone on this bike in particular for like a longer ride, where it's like 80-mile, like an 80-mile loop, pretty much if I don't have it filled up before I start this, you're gonna have to stop. Like, yes, technically you don't have to, but I've never pushed this bike far enough to see at which point will it run out of gas and just stop running. So, you know, to be safe, I don't ever push it above 100 miles on a trip before filling it up, because it's just not worth it. I don't want to be stranded out somewhere, and yeah, it's one of those things. You know, you got to do what you got to do, unfortunately. But I definitely do wish that Kawasaki would have put a bigger tank on this. I don't know, because I haven't done research, but, you know, like, just doing quick looks, I haven't seen, like, a bigger tank, you know, for this. There might be, don't hold me to there saying that there isn't. There very well could be. But I don't know what all would it be involved in, you know, putting that in. It might be worthwhile though, you know, if you can find one for a good price that everything just bolts over. I don't know. Like I said, it might be a like a little bit more in depth of a project than I'm thinking to swap to a bigger tank. But it definitely would be kind of cool to have that extra range. Alright, so things I do love about the bike. For one, even though this is a 230, honestly, I love this thing. Like, yes, it's not a highway bike, but doing back roads, it just works. It works so well. Like, I looked at the 300s before I went for this, and honestly, the body styling of this bike, the plastics, the LED front headlight, And obviously, and even this display, like, this is a very clean, easy to read display. Where, you know, like, yes, kind of trying to look at, like, the display of the 300 online, it doesn't look as good. It looks more basic. Like, who knows, it might have something on here that just doesn't. That I just don't know, because I haven't been able to, like, see one in person with the screen lit up so I can actually see what's on there. But I guess that's what brings me into the next topic, is the new 300, KLX 300. It is, they switched up the body styling on it and made it so much better looking. Like, they actually did the plastics of this bike and put it on the new ones. I'm not sure yet on whether they did, I don't know if they did the LED headlight. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they did the LED front headlight also. So the new 300s definitely look a lot better, which I might have actually considered when I was originally looking for this bike. But either way, I don't regret buying this bike one little bit. It's been super reliable. It's just been a great bike. It really has. Like out of all the bikes in my fleet, like, yeah, the Z900 is very fast. The Royal Enfield is comfortable. But, like, I don't ever see myself getting rid of this. Like, as long as something catastrophic doesn't happen, I don't see a point to ever get rid of this bike. It just works, and it works well. And it has good personality to it, you know, like the fact that I just, you know, with the new tires, I can just kind of throw myself into corners, and I don't know, because it's one of those also, like, when I drive, like, park the bike and I walk away from this thing, I always look back at it. And car guys and motorcycle guys all know, when you can't walk away from something and not look back at it, you know you got something that tugs on your heartstrings just the right way. But either way, very small gripes that I have about this bike, which, like I said, they're very small. Super, super smooth. So smooth. But besides that, it's a great bike. Like, honestly, if I was back in that dealership knowing what I know now a year ago, I would have totally bought this bike again, without hesitation. And you know what? That's saying something. That you can look back a year later and still would make the same exact decision. I don't know. That's something special. That's not always something you get with bikes or other things. I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a little bit more special than me, that, you know, you don't ever have buyer's regret. But either way, we're not going into that. I'm just saying, from my perspective, from living with this bike for about a year and 3,200 miles, I would buy it again in a heartbeat. It's a fun bike. It's just, I don't know, can't really say much more about it. But if y'all are happen to be interested in a bike like this, I would definitely give it a second look, or a third, or hell, even a fourth. Because this bike does have good qualities. It does have good character. Like, yes, you can look at just the horsepower numbers and be like, oh, it only has 19 horsepower. Like, whee! Like, that's so little. Like, but I don't know. Even though it has that little horsepower, it just, there's just something so fun and rambunctious about this bike that just makes you fall in love. So yeah. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But no, let's be honest. You know, I appreciate all y'all coming to watch this video. yeah, like I said, if y'all in the market for this, you know, a supermoto from factory, like I said, like, yes, it's not a 300, but you know, it isn't that bad. It is a pretty solid bike for what you're spending on it, especially if you happen to get it on sale, which I've seen some really good sales on this bike as of recent, at least in my area. But yeah, totally would buy this bike again. So yeah, so that's for me gushing about my bike. You know, hope you all like, subscribe, and you know, yeah, I appreciate all of y'all. Pet Bike Mike is out.